All right, so back to this. Just got interrupted there for a second. So this is part two, right? I'll upload both of these, but again, it's something to where I left off was saying again, you can have all these interpretations, right? So in sense, at least due to how the AU is structured, where it's mostly just character swapping. From there on, you can go from there and beyond, right? And again, we see in specifically bringing it back to the Omari AU, right? Specifically bringing it, or the Omari mod. Again, you can kind of see in like looking through like the trailers and stuff, you can see all the thought and effort they put in there. That probably, and again, the biggest thing that I see kind of being reflective of that is their version of Headspace. Because obviously, faraway town's going to stay the same. You know, the fucking town isn't going to change, right? You know, it's the same fucking town. In the real world, theoretically, obviously, there's differences in characters, right? Through character swapping. But the actual, you know, kind of setup of the real world should be pretty much the same. The big thing there seems to be kind of what they've gone and done with Headspace. And since obviously it's a fictional dream world, you know, Mari's logically will just look completely different from Sunny's, right? And we even see that with like just the little like sneak peeks and tidbits that they give us, is that's pretty much completely like unique original design, right? So it's like that's like something to where like you can go that like far in depth there, right? And they're even making, I heard they're making their own fucking like OST for like, and it's like that's very fucking bold, right? Like my lazy ass would just reused Omori OST and then create some like custom songs for like, you know, very specific like moments, right? But again, they're doing that as well, so you can really see just how far you can go into it, right? And it's a good callback and tie back, right? It's a good callback and tie back, right? Because you need to think about it. Omori itself, the game, originally started as like a blog, right? From like Omocar or whatever. It started the same way this AU started, where it was just like this thought idea, right? Again, I'm pretty sure like if you go all the way back to like I think his name was supposed to be like Omori Boy or something. I don't know. And then they just fucking dropped it. And then it was supposed to be more so about like sort of a cyber like internet escape as opposed to like a full-on dream world. But that's like, again, but you can see that again, you know, it originally started out the very same way, right? And then, you know, however many years later, you know, 6, 7, 8, a decade later, you know, it's this big thing, right? Or again, it's this actual game that there's merch for and events for. So that there's being made AUs out of, right? That are going down a similar path that the original game went down. So again, and you can really see there, and honestly, well, I don't want to end it on a 3-minute video. I'm probably going to be wrapping up fairly soon here, because again, that was the main point I wanted to make in this video. Just some more clarification about, okay, Omari, what it is, right? You know, what it means, kind of, again, the whole, like, expansive, like, AU, the mod itself that's being made, and kind of the AU being followed into. Again, and then going over, right, the kind of AU within the AUs, you know, the flexibility and pliability when it comes to interpretation of the AU. So that's probably what I'll name it, you know, Omari AU interpretations, or varying AU interpretations, or something along those lines, or the different AU interpretations. Again, the big thing being how the two I mentioned were the incident, right? You know, how you view that, you know, interpret that, whether it was the ambulance or the burial, right? Sonny gets one of the two, right? You know, he doesn't get both. And then also, again, the whole, like, Omari gain amnesia thing, right? Which would actually be very... Omari gain amnesia doesn't make a fucking difference. Or Sonny gain amnesia does make a difference, because he's a fucking hikikomori anyway. It doesn't matter, right? But you can see how that would impact Mari. And again, that's just our interpretation there. And again, and then I do plan on making more videos of this. Again, right? This will probably be the only video I make about the varying other, like, sort of the AUs as a whole. I think the future videos I make on this will be about the mod interpretation specifically, just because, again, it's like, I feel like that's something to where it's probably the interpretation I agree with and roll with. Again, where it's just the standard, like, okay, you get the, obviously, character swapping, it goes with the ambulance, nothing really special or unique, very similar, like, parallel to the main game, but mostly showcasing really, and the whole point of the AU to begin with, right? Kind of just, again, the differences that one little change can make, right? And how that would kind of impact that. More so showing that, the differences, as opposed to just a completely, like, unique story, let's say, so to speak. So, at least in terms of that, right? With that there, that's where I kind of want to end off of. I can think of a few more Omari videos I'll make. Like, for example, I can make an Omari video specifically about the mod being developed and kind of expectations for it, and, like, I guess maybe even when I think it'll release, right? Or just if it'll release at all, right? Kind of expectations for that, and just, I guess, overall, more so dampening expectations. But expectations, and I guess just more thoughts and opinions for the mod specifically, as opposed to the AU. I can make a video going over, what would you call it? More so in depth of the Omari characters, because I did a brief run through. What I can do is I can make honest to God, a video for each character and compare their Omori selves to their Omari selves, right? I could honestly but that'll be like a very last thing. Like, that'd be the last thing I do. So there's that. I can go over more in depth, what's it called? If I get enough time to sit and think, my own headcanons for the Omari AU and what I think, again, now kind of, interpretation there. And then also for the Omari mod itself, I can go over more like story directions, because obviously there's not going to be a truth sequence. So kind of, again, just not just exploring its parallels to, again, right, Omori, right, and its differences there, but also kind of more headcanon stuff, like I mentioned, and then I can even go over, again, stuff that didn't make the cut. So, like, the things that I mentioned, like, okay, what if it was a burial? Okay, what if it was a, amnesia, right? And I could even make separate videos on that about, like, oh, how would that impact the overall story, right? Being more specific there, as opposed to just bringing them up. So, again, right? Yeah, so at least in terms of that, again, it's something to where it's like, yeah, it's actually very, and again, I will go back and play through the true route, when winter rolls around, right? But something to where this is actually, very refreshing. It's a very refreshing thing to, I think I got into and, like, researched and learned about this Omari mod, like, the perfect time. Again, because, I finished the game already, did the Ikikomori route. I'm going to go back and play through True Route eventually, but that's later. Again, kind of got exhausted, I guess, my interest. I don't want to say, because now I'm getting interested into this AU. And this seems to be the big one. I will mention, and this is kind of a good way to end off, there are other AUs. So I know there's an AU where it's literally just Mari survives, but it more so explores the issues with, I guess, not necessarily, again, like, her surviving, but more so, like, because people think, like, again, oh, if she just didn't die, things would remain the same, it'd be happily ever after. It more so, again, explores not necessarily her survival, but more so, again, more in depth on the issues of the group, especially as they age and grow older. So, again, it's not like a happy-go-lucky, like, wholesome thing. It presumes that even though she survives in that instance, right? Again, so you avoid the fucking disaster that's, in the original game, right? But it's still, again, it focuses primarily on the issues of the group that, again, would follow, right, from them aging and her survival, right? And it honestly, most specifically, it focuses on, and again, this AU's name, I believe, is like Bari or something, I don't know. Because I even made a video specifically on, okay, what was Mari like? I didn't go as far to say, she was, what would you call it, that she was a perfectionist, right? Or that she was, like, manipulative. My take was that she was more so inconsiderate, I guess, or more, I guess, ignorant there. I don't want to say ignorant, but, like, inconsiderate and a bit, what would you call it? A bit, what's the term there? My take was that she was a bit inconsiderate and a bit oblivious, right? To kind of things going on around her. That was my take. But the take for this AU, Omari, again, I believe it was called, right? Again, and mainly where most of the issues stem from her survivals, that it does go with the take that she's more of a perfectionist and more manipulative that way. And that, again, she was kind of the favorite older sister. And that she, again, after Sunny not really pulling through or following through with her the performance, it leads to issues there. So that's kind of the direction that it takes, right? It's not like, oh, she survives. It's this wholesome, it's this great happy thing, right? Wholesome thing. It's like, okay, it's still, she survives, but what issues are still present, and how, again, does the group handle and deal with them, right, as they age and grow older, and what problems are there? So that's another one, right? There's another AU where instead of Sunny and Mari, it's Kel and Hiro, right? So again, it's Kel, what would you call it? Hiro, again, fell and got pushed down the stairs, right, by Kel. And funny enough, they still, even in that AU, I think it was like Dearest Brother or something, they made like a mod showcase for it or something. I don't know if they're actually following through, but it's like, I believe it's still a concert, they just play different instruments. So, but follows a very similar story, but it's just, again, that family instead of Sunny's family. So they still have a pretty, like, decent family, Sunny and Mari, and then their parents, right? It's only Kel and Hiro that's different there, so. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end this, because now I'm getting to completely different stuff from the video. But yeah, it's just so interesting, and I'll definitely be making more videos about this. But with that out of the way, I don't really have anything else left to say. So yep, that's it for this one. See you in the next one.